All right, so today we're going to take a deep dive into Affle India Ltd's second quarter financials for fiscal year 2025. Got all our ducks in a row. We got their press release. We got the financial statements themselves. And we even got their earnings presentation, I know. Financial reports on a Friday afternoon. Not exactly everyone's cup of tea, right?
Well, I think once we dig in here, you'll see there's a lot more to this than just dry numbers, really. For anyone who wants to understand how a tech company like Affle finds success, especially in such a competitive market, This is a company that's making some serious waves in mobile advertising and consumer intelligence, and they're doing it on a global scale.
Yeah, absolutely. Affle isn't just some small fry. They're reaching audiences all over, way beyond India. And they've really found their niche, delivering advertising that actually gets results.
Yeah, they figured out how to bridge that gap. The gap between what consumers actually want and what brands are trying to sell. It's almost like they're matchmakers in the digital world.
Matchmakers. I love that analogy. Okay, let's jump into the numbers then. Affle just dropped a pretty impressive 25.9% jump in revenue year over year, reaching a cool euro 5,429 million in Q2 FY25. And that's not all. Their EBITDA margin, which basically tells you how much profit they're making from their core business, stayed strong at 20.9%. Plus, they snagged a net profit of 920 million euros.
Those are some big numbers, but what's really exciting is that this revenue growth is happening while Affle's pouring money back into R&D. It shows they're not just happy with where they are today, they're building for the future. And that kind of confidence, especially when you see that their operating cash flow is positive, that means even with all that investment, the core business is generating enough cash to keep things moving. That's a real sign of a healthy company in the tech world.
Absolutely. So we got crazy growth, we got profits, cash in the bank. How are they doing it? Flipping through their earnings presentation. This phrase keeps popping up. Cost per converted user, CPCU for short. What's the deal with that?
CPCU. That's at the heart of Affle's success, and it's a real game changer compared to traditional advertising. The old way. Companies would pay just to get their ads seen. Didn't matter if anyone actually took action. But with CPCU, Affle only gets paid when their ads lead to a result, like a purchase, a download, maybe someone signing up for a service. It's all about delivering results, not just impressions.
So they're like, I don't know, bounty hunters for conversions.
Exactly. And the best part is that it makes advertising way more measurable. Companies know exactly what they're getting for their money, which keeps them happy. And you know what? In Q2 FY25, that CPCU model drove almost 100% of Affle's revenue.
Wow. Putting their money where their mouth is. And the numbers back it up. They're seeing more conversions, higher average CPCU, and their overall CPCU revenue climbing like a triple threat.
It shows you they're not just attracting more clients, they're getting better at delivering conversions. And that kind of efficiency fuels their success and keeps those investors happy. But of course, it's not all smooth sailing.
What's the catch?
Well, this is the digital advertising world, right? It's an e-battlefield out there. Competition, it's cutthroat, and regulations. They can change in a heartbeat, which could impact that whole CPCU model. Affle's ability to adapt and navigate all that. That's going to be key to keeping this momentum going.
Right. And speaking of smart moves, their earnings presentation also highlights their focus on certain industries, high growth sectors, fintech, edtech, e-commerce, and gaming. Why those?
Well, think about it. They're not just riding the digital advertising wave, they're choosing to surf. Where the waves are biggest and most consistent, these sectors, they're not just growing fast, they're also pretty resistant to economic downturns. So even if the economy takes a hit, people are still going to be spending on online education, financial services, and let's be real, video games. It's strategic, aligning with industries that have a strong future. It's like, ooh, they're playing chess, not checkers, but choosing the right sectors. That's only half the battle, right? You got to deliver. And their presentation, packed with these case studies, real-world examples of how they're tailoring solutions for all sorts of companies all over the globe.
Yeah, those case studies are gold. They show off Affle's versatility and their expertise. You take their work with Bajaj Finserv, a leading financial services company in India, or Experian in Brazil, a global credit reporting giant. They're proving they can adapt and thrive in very different markets with unique challenges.
It's impressive. What really jumps out at you from these case studies?
It's the technology, how they're using it to personalize the user experience. Do you remember that Fetch case study? They helped this US-based e-commerce platform acquire high-quality users and get them more engaged. Using scan-based optimizations, that means they were able to boost conversions while respecting user privacy.
Which is huge these days.
Yeah. Absolutely. And then there's the campaign with Big Huge Games, a mobile game developer. That one really highlights their global reach and the power of targeted advertising. By using tiered geo-targeting and some clever audience segmentation, they were able to boost the game's return on ad spend and even get players who had stopped playing to come back. It's like marketing magic.
It's all data-driven decision-making. They're not just throwing darts blindly. They're using their deep understanding of consumer behavior to create campaigns that really hit the mark.
And it's not just happening in India. Affle is bringing in 73.4% of the revenue from India and other emerging markets.
Yeah.
But a solid 26.6% is coming from developed markets like the US and Europe, clearly expanding beyond their home turf.
That global expansion, that's key. It diversifies their revenue streams, reduces their reliance on any one region. So if one market hits a rough patch, they've got others to fall back on. It's a smart risk mitigation strategy.
Makes sense. But going global,
yeah,
it's not easy, right? You got to deal with different regulations, different cultures, different consumer behaviors. But Affle seems to be navigating this expansion really well, and their consistent growth in both developed and emerging markets speaks volumes.
It really does. And it makes you wonder, how are they pulling off this impressive performance? Not just financially, but in terms of innovation and global reach. What's their secret?
Well, I don't think it's much of a secret. A big part of it seems to be their dedication to R&D and a company culture that really encourages innovation. They've built up a pretty impressive global tech IP portfolio.
Yeah.
36 patents, 11 of which have already been granted. That's a serious commitment to pushing boundaries.
It's not just about the tech, though. It's about operating ethically.
Right.
And building trust.
Right, like their DPTM certification.
Yeah.
And that accreditation from the Singapore government. It shows they're serious about data privacy, which is a huge concern for consumers and regulators these days.
That focus on ethical practices builds confidence with both clients and consumers.
Walking the walk, not just talking the talk. And it's clearly working. Their track record of attracting top-tier clients speaks for itself.
Absolutely. It's a who's who of successful companies across all sorts of industries, a real testament to their ability to build lasting relationships.
Okay, but let's be real. Nobody's perfect, right? Looking at their shareholder info, they do have a bit of debt.
Good catch. But their debt-to-equity ratio, it's tiny, 0.07x, which tells me they're using debt strategically to accelerate their growth without putting their financial stability at risk. It's actually pretty common for companies looking to scale up and invest in future opportunities.
It's like tapping on a loan for a bigger house.
Yeah.
Because you know your family's growing. You're using debt to create more value down the line. So we've covered a lot here. Affle's financial performance, their unique CPCU model, their focus on high-growth sectors, and their impressive global expansion. Safe to say they're killing it. What's your overall take on their strategy?
They found a formula that's working. And it's perfectly in sync with the direction digital advertising is headed, that focus on tangible results. Through the CBCU model, aligning with industries that are primed for long-term success. And their global expansion efforts, it all points to a company that's built to last.
Like they've cracked the code on combining innovation, profitability, and responsible growth. Numbers are only part of the story. Let's talk about the people behind Affle next. Right? We've been looking at the numbers, their strategies, all that. But it's time to talk about the people, the ones actually running the show.
Absolutely. A company is more than just balance sheets and fancy tech. Affle's leadership. They play a crucial role in making it all happen. It's their experience, their passion. That often makes the difference between good and great.
Yeah. It's easy to get lost in the spreadsheets sometimes. Forget that there are real people making these decisions, guiding the company, building that culture.
And Affle's leadership, they seem to have found a good balance. They've got those seasoned veterans who've seen it all. But they also have some fresh perspectives, from people who are newer to the game. That blend of experience and adaptability, it's essential in a world like mobile advertising.
So tell me about this dream team. What kind of experience do they bring to the table?
Well, you've got Anuj Khanna Soham, their managing director and CEO. He's been there from the very beginning, literally since day one. And that kind of long tenure, it provides a lot of stability, especially in a market that's always changing. He's a seasoned entrepreneur, really understands the digital landscape, and he's been essential to shaping Affle's journey.
It's good to see that kind of steady hand at the wheel, especially in such a fast-paced industry.
Yeah.
But it's not just him. Right?
I know, not at all. The whole leadership team is full of talented people with diverse backgrounds, experts in tech, finance, marketing, operations. It's a real brain trust, all working together. And it's not just about their skills. It's their shared passion that really drives them.
It's like a well-oiled machine, every part working together.
Speaking of working together, let's go back to something we touched on earlier. Sustainability, responsible growth. They're doing great financially. But are they doing it the right way?
That's the question everyone's asking. Investors.
Yeah.
Consumers. And it's good to see that Affle isn't just focused on profit. They're taking steps to ensure their growth is sustainable and in line with their commitment to ethical practices.
Yeah, I see that. Their emphasis on data privacy, fighting ad fraud, empowering consumers. It's not just talk. They're walking the walk.
Exactly. And that's not just about doing the right thing. It's also good business. Consumers are getting smarter. They're more likely to support companies that share their values.
How are they actually putting these principles into practice?
They've got strong data privacy policies and procedures, making sure they're handling user data responsibly and following all the rules. This is huge, especially with all the data breaches and privacy concerns these days.
It's not enough to just talk about privacy anymore. Consumers want action. Yeah. And Affle's going beyond just checking boxes. They're trying to give consumers more control over their data, being transparent about how that information is used.
Smart move. Building trust. By empowering consumers, respecting their privacy, it reinforces their reputation as a responsible player in the advertising space.
And they're taking concrete steps, like their ad fraud detection platform, Affle. It's award-winning, shows their commitment to fighting fraud, creating a fair playing field for advertisers.
It's impressive. They're not just protecting themselves, they're making the whole ecosystem more trustworthy.
And don't forget about their investments in new tech, AI, machine learning, deep learning, real-time predictive algorithms, all of this. It's not just about efficiency. It's about creating more meaningful experiences for consumers.
That's where it gets really interesting. Using technology to understand what consumers want and deliver tailored experiences. It's a win-win.
It's all about balance. And as technology keeps changing, Affle seems ready to adapt, to keep their platform engaging and deliver results.
So it's clear. Their commitment to sustainability and responsible growth. It's not just a marketing ploy. It's part of their DNA. They're proving that you can be profitable and purpose-driven.
Absolutely. Their track record speaks for itself. The financial performance, global reach, loyal shareholders. It's all working.
Right. It's a tough industry. Digital advertising is constantly changing. New tech, new consumer behavior.
So what about their long-term prospects? What makes you confident they can keep this up?
Well, a few things. First, their ability to adapt and innovate. They've constantly evolved their platform, expanded into new markets, embraced new technologies. They're agile. They anticipate trends.
Not afraid to shake things up, which is essential in this business.
Exactly. And it's not just about reacting to change. It's about shaping the future. Their focus on R&D, those investments in cutting-edge tech, their commitment to understanding consumer behavior, it all positions them as leaders. They're not following. They're leading.
And they've built a great team to help them do it. Talented people, passionate about pushing boundaries. Their leadership is strong, experienced, and fresh perspectives. A clear vision, a deep understanding of the digital world. They have what it takes to keep growing and become a major player.
They're definitely firing on all cylinders. No business is immune to challenges.
True. But based on what we've seen, Affle seems prepared. The right mindset, the right strategy, the right team, and their commitment to sustainability, ethical practices, a focus on the consumer. It sets them apart.
Definitely. I'm really curious to see what the future holds for them. It seems like they're on the right track, not just to survive, but to thrive. Anything else stand out to you about their journey?
It's how they've managed to grow without compromising their values. They're not just chasing profits. They're doing it the right way, responsibly, sustainably, with a positive impact.
Powerful message. Speaks volumes about their vision and their dedication to building something meaningful. Okay, let's shift gears a bit and think about the long-term implications of their growth for Affle and for the digital advertising world as a whole. This is where things get really interesting. So we've looked at their financials, business model, their strategic focus, their commitment to doing things the right way, even got a glimpse of the team. But now, let's zoom out. Big picture time. What are the long-term implications of all this for Affle and for the whole digital advertising world?
That's the question, isn't it? We got to consider the big forces at play here. Mobile advertising, it's exploding. More people have smartphones than ever, using them constantly, doing everything on them. Shopping, banking, entertainment. It's a whole new world for how we experience content.
Yeah.
And how we interact with brands.
And Affle,
Yeah.
with their mobile-first platform and their
Yeah.
ability to deliver those targeted ads, the ones that actually convert. They seem pretty well positioned to ride this wave.
Oh, yeah. They're already a major player in mobile advertising, especially in those fast-growing markets, India, Southeast Asia. And they're expanding into those developed markets, US, Europe. They're thinking big.
But success breeds competition. How do you see the landscape evolving? What does Affle need to do to stay ahead?
Digital advertising. It's a bit of a wild west out there.
Yeah.
Super competitive, big players, startups, all fighting for a piece of the pie. Affle needs to keep innovating, refining their tech, expanding their reach.
They've already shown they're not afraid to innovate. That CPCU model, their focus on those high-growth industries, AI, machine learning, they're thinking ahead.
Those are good signs, but they can't rest on their laurels. Got to keep an eye on the competition, see what's coming next, be ready to adapt.
That's a marathon, not a sprint.
Exactly. And it's not just about beating the competition, it's about shaping the future of the industry. Affle has a chance to become a real thought leader, setting the standards, pushing the boundaries.
Right. We talked about their commitment to data privacy, addressing ad fraud, giving consumers more control.
Those are all areas where they can make a real difference.
Okay, so we've got this massive technological revolution happening. How is Affle using it? And what are the long-term impacts?
Technology. It's the foundation of everything they do. AI, machine learning, deep learning, they're using it all to analyze data, understand consumer behavior, and deliver those highly targeted ads.
And this tech, it's just going to get more powerful. What does that mean for Affle? And for advertising in general?
Well, as AI and machine learning get better, we're going to see even more personalized advertising, more engaging. Imagine ads that are tailored, not just to your demographics, but to your mood, your location, even your past interactions with brands.
It's both exciting and a little scary, right? What about data privacy? What about manipulation?
Those are important questions. Companies like Affle, they got to use this technology responsibly, ethically, transparency, consumer choice. Data security, those have to be top priorities.
And it seems like Affle is taking those things seriously. Data privacy commitment, DBTM certification, fighting ad fraud. They're thinking about the ethical implications.
They're not just chasing the latest gadgets. They're thinking about the bigger picture.
So how is all of this going to affect the average consumer?
Hopefully, it'll lead to a better online experience, more personalized, more relevant, more engaging. No more irrelevant ads, just helpful, informative stuff. Things that actually interest you.
That would be great. But it also means consumers have to be more proactive, understand how their data is being used, make informed choices.
We all need to be more aware of our digital footprint.
It's a two-way street. Companies have to be transparent, responsible, and consumers have to be informed and empowered. But it seems like Affle's growth, it has the potential to shape things in a positive direction. Better technology, more ethical practices, a real focus on the consumer.
I agree. There will always be challenges. But Affle seems to have what it takes. The vision, the strategy, the team, the values to be successful. And to make a real difference in the world of advertising.
Couldn't said it better myself. We've covered a lot today. I hope you've learned something about Affle India Ltd, their achievements, and their potential. Thanks for joining us.
It's been a pleasure.
And remember, this is just the beginning. Dig into the source materials. There's always more to discover.